Well, one of the big myths about silver was going to be able to break the banksters. You remember that from a couple years ago when Max Kaiser was going on about so buy an ounce of physical silver, break J.P. Morgan. That Eric Sprott was a silver vigilante, and he's going to help break J.P. Morgan, and he sold it right at the top and all this garbage, right? Well, I'm going to tell you though, it is part of your strategy. Don't look at it as totally like a speculative bet, although it's probably going to play out like crazy. And it'll take off like crazy. I don't think they're going to shut the government down like they said. I know that, it's going to come close. The markets are tumbling today as far as the Dow. But I don't think they're going to shut down the government per se because, Obama pulled out this stuff about the Social Security checks. He'll stop the Social Security checks because it's more than a government shutdown. It's an economic shutdown. It's like you're running out of money. But the thing is, because of the debt ceiling, it's not just a government shutdown. It's a debt ceiling and a government shutdown at the same time. So it's more severe than that. They don't have they'll have no cash at the end of October, because they won't be able to borrow as of October 17th, and then about less than 2 weeks later, they won't have cash thereafter, right? So that'll be a shutdown. That won't happen. But, really the way to fight the power is the middle class has to get back to the innovative entrepreneurial spirit that they had before and fight them piecemeal, I think of every little stupid thing I possibly can to actually cut down on a bill. I do this all different ways, whether it's changing light bulbs or whatever the hell it is. But I don't spend a lot of money on anything frivolous. And everything I do spend money, but it's usually on hardcore items that I might need in the future. So I'm well prepared and all that type of stuff. But, with silver, if you're buying stuff, I would use the fiat. I wouldn't use the silver. But there's going to come a time, if this actually portends what's going to happen in the future when there's a real government shutdown, the dollar is going to actually plummet like a stone. But if you got a bunch of pile of silver, say you got a pile of silver and you're on a desert island, is that going to do you a lot of good? No, unless you have other people around that have things that you need to trade for. But it'd be better if you had those things that you could trade the silver for, right? Silver's just going to wind up being a medium of exchange again. It's going to be a commodity, but also a medium of exchange. So actually, the real solution to actually knock out the elite is more independence. And you could do this piecemeal. You don't have to go hog wild on anything. If you decide, like for instance, if you want to go do something, I'm thinking about doing this because I decided, I might do solar power piecemeal. Although that's a very, very, very minor savings. But I found that there's been electrical power outages here in Florida sometimes, and I had to use my generator. But if I have something already set up on 12 volt that's on solar and there's lights already set up and things like that, hey, that'd be a good thing. I won't have a problem, right? Just turn them on and, it's like less bullshit. But I could actually use that to cut down on all kinds of bills, right? And see, this is where people lose their entrepreneurial spirit because, for instance, say the bad things about what Lindsey Williams predicts about in the future comes about, right? Say he talks about $8 to $10 of gasoline, right? Well, a lot of people, and it's like they're too afraid to pick up a hammer. They want to just buy something for $30,000 an electrical vehicle, and you've seen these things happen with Tesla. They catch on fire, right? Well, why not just buy yourself an older car that runs on diesel, like a Volkswagen Jetta or something like that, or a car that runs on natural gas also, and you can fill it up and avoid the problems of if the gasoline goes up through the roof due to tensions in the Middle East. See, in other words, if the middle class actually picks up the tools and things that they have and they start building on their own and doing things on their own and using their own innovation, you're basically going to be cutting out a lot of the crap that goes on with government control. You don't want to depend on the government at all, period. Well, as much as possible, How's that? I mean, maybe there's something you have to depend on the government. I mean, if you're drawing a Social Security check, take it. Damn it, you know what I mean? Don't be so stupid as not to take it. You know, I don't have Social Security or anything like that. I'm not getting anything from the government. But, you know, it's like if you are getting something, take it. Take it. But, you know, put that stuff to good use. Put it all to good use. Now, the big thing that's coming up, and this is related to silver, everybody should have some silver on hand and make colloidal silver. You should make and keep on hand several quarts of that stuff, at least, for emergency purposes. You can use that if you have a severe cut, or you have to, like, you know, make something sterile again, or whatever, you know. Even, like, you know, certain things that you want to be bandages, whatever, you can put them in colloidal silver. You should not even just have it for investment purposes. You should have it for medicinal purposes. Because if there's, you know, my point on this whole thing is to use the government as little as possible. And if they give you a check, fine. If they're giving you food stamps, fine. You know, use your money wisely. If they're giving you Social Security, fine. They're giving you disability, fine. Take it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't take it, because everybody, you know, if you rate it, and the government says you rate it, take it. But the thing is, use your money wisely and become as independent as possible. Silver is one way to do it. But a lot of people are ignoring the medicinal value of silver, and also this goes along with Obamacare. Because, for instance, and I don't want to tout these alternative things as cure-alls, because they're not. They're helpful things in a lot of ways. But actually, if people get into more of strengthening the body and preventing disease, there'll be a lot less use on the medical system in Obamacare. And, you know, I would even ask Obamacare, like, for instance, you're using alternative measures, you know, ask them to be reimbursed for it. I mean, ask them dumb questions about it, too. Because, for instance, you know, say you had a way that you can get off your diabetic medicine by taking coconut oil and changing your diet. You know, ask them, instead of, like, using the medicines, that you can actually, you know, use alternative measures. And they'll say no, but keep asking them. Tell them, because the logic behind it is good, right? But, you know, I don't like pumping up alternative medicine too much, because that's where alternative medicine shoots itself in the foot. Because they exaggerate like it's a cure-all, and it's not. It's just like a helpful thing, and an additional aid that works sometimes and helps some people. But it's very cost-effective. That's the whole deal. See, the whole game that's going on where people are buying physical silver is like because they do not want government control. They want to be financially independent. They don't want problems when the government says the dollar's going to crash, or the elite say the dollar's going to crash, and they're to be holding worthless paper. That's the whole game. The real crux of the situation is that people want to be independent. So think of it that way too. Now it looks like Obama's pulled out his trump card with, you know, what do you call it? With the debt ceiling, because he's saying that the seniors aren't going to get their check if the Republicans don't renege on this fight about shutting down the government, because it's not just about shutting down the government, it's about raising the debt ceiling, and the government won't have the cash to make payments. So obviously, I think I know what's going to happen. You know, they're going to renege. They're going to back off. But, you know, the only way to fight this is almost like, you know, you talk about the Fabian Society. Remember that term, the Fabian Society in England? You know, it's like they're using progressive socialism and piecemeal steps. Well, that's not where Fabian really came from. If you understand, Fabian was a Roman general. It was like the Roman army got defeated by Hannibal. And even when the Roman army put together the biggest army they ever had in their entire history up until that point, Hannibal destroyed it in a matter of 3 hours by using a new double envelopment tactic that came in from the flanks, and they destroyed the army in a few hours. So what happened was the Romans didn't give up. It was General Fabian used a piecemeal strategy to fight Hannibal. The socialists use these strategies piecemeal. you as individualists and freedom lovers have to use this strategy as piecemeal also. You know, don't be so proud as if the government says you rate this or that, take it. I mean, if you rate it and you honestly rate it, don't be so proud and say, yo, I'm independent, I can't take this. Take the money anyway. I don't get nothing. You know, I'm just telling you this. But then use the money wisely to become more independent. One method is buying physical silver. But you don't have to go hog wild on it every freaking day and buy physical silver and put all your money into it and all your resources in it. Like I said, food, fuel, and firepower, and actually medical equipment is very important. It might come about because I think that this is Obamacare. Well, I'm almost guaranteed Obamacare is going to cave in upon itself. There's going to be a whole underground medical profession out there healing people because Obamacare is going to become like the waiting line care. You know what I mean? The stuff isn't going to be available. That's what's actually going to happen. It looks good on paper, but, you know, I could say on paper everything. You know, you could say anything on paper looks good, and it's not, the money isn't going to be there, so the services aren't going to be there. So, you know, the whole answer to the game is, you know, going back almost to the 18th century, and I'm skipped the religion part, though. You know, let's not get that crazy. But, like, just going back to being more individualistic. And that's really the way to fight the power. People just don't want to see that angle. And silver is part of that equation, too, right? But in the meantime, you know, I'm not 110% sure what's going to happen in the future, but it looks like Obama put a big scare into the Republicans, basically, now when he talked about, you know, the stopping the Social Security checks and blaming it on the Republicans. That's a shrewd maneuver right there. But you know, what's going to actually happen long term with this Obamacare? It's going to screw up Medicaid. It's going to screw up everything for the seniors too. You know, and I don't know. Maybe seniors. I don't know what it is, but maybe there's a lot of seniors that think this system's going to keep going forever. I'll tell you what, seniors ought to freaking start really preparing for the future too, because even though they're older or whatever, that doesn't mean if you're 70 or 80 years old, you got 5 or 10 years to live. To tell you the truth, with some of the stuff that's out there that I believe actually works, I think the humans could be living a couple hundred years very strong. And if you're strong, that means you could be very productive too, you know? So, anyway, you know, that might be part of the key to the American backbone and the American economy too, because, you know, some of the seniors too, you know, they got a lot of experience on stuff. You know, somebody could have been a machinist for 30, 40 years, or a welder, or a roofer, or a mechanic, or whatever the hell it is. Man, they know some shit that the younger people don't know. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, if they actually get healthier, they can actually produce a hell of a lot more for this country than you believe. You know, that might be an angle too to examine. But you know, that's my whole point on this whole damn thing is independence is about production, entrepreneurship, and innovation. It's like you got to actually produce something. And silver is one way to kind of bypass them, but you can bypass them in a lot of different ways. And I mean, if you don't need their health care, if you got ways to keep yourself healthy, you don't need their health care, that's another way to bypass them, right? You know, if you got a way to actually produce electricity, that's a way to bypass them. You might want to do that in piecemeal. Maybe you don't want to, you know, as a suggestion, you might want to say, I need 4 solar panels, gives me partial electricity, and you have part 12 volt in your house that's not even hooked up to the AC without the complexity, right? You know, I'm thinking about doing that myself because it's cheap. Although it's not cost effective because my electric bills are extremely low anyway, but I just started thinking about it as a measure of independence. And that's the whole word. Silver means independence, but it's not your only strategy.